What's up, everybody? Welcome back to We're Just Talking podcast. I'm Isai here with Mariel. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How's it going? Well, hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening in. I know how much y'all love listening to us. Uh, did you do anything fun this weekend? I'm gonna get right
um,
into it, guys. Delving right in.
Fun? No, I did recently discover a new library,
Oh,
a new public library in New
wait,
York,
are you
near the
saying?
city.
Now, I'm gonna pause you right there for a second. Are you saying library or library? Just
uh,
see, just so I just want
Let me
to
say it again without
know.
a new library library library. I'm saying library, but now does it enunciate itself?
Yeah,
Probably not.
I'm pretty sure it's library.
Library.
Yeah, you're starting to remind me of those little kids I grew up with in school that would say pack pack. You gave me some pack pack vibes right now.
Well, I figured I recently found out I say hanger like with a hard G.
Hanger. Oh, like a wire hanger?
Yeah, yeah. What do you say?
A hanger? Hanger?
Yeah, like I don't know. Some
Plain
people say
hanger?
this. Some people say the G in a more subtle way.
More subtle? You did it on purpose.
But yeah, some people would say a soft G. So I recently I
Yeah.
found out that I say hard G. But yeah.
Well, I think that's
So
coming from New York. Y'all guys just have to do everything hard. You gotta be
yeah,
hard at
maybe
all
that's what it
times.
is. We just our accent just comes out. But no, I just a new library recently opened in the city, and so that's
Yeah.
really exciting because I have ADD.
Yeah.
And so anywhere I can go to kind of
Study. Yeah.
focus a
Sit
bit
down.
more and focus,
Yeah.
that'd be super nice.
Now, I think I saw a picture of that maybe on your Instagram and your
Mhm.
social medias. I mean that library looked old though on the inside. Maybe it was just the
Are
picture you took. I
you
said
kidding me?
I thought it was from the '90s. I don't know. I don't know where it
Oh
was at.
jeez.
Was
Oh
it? It was
jeez.
probably more updated than what I meant. No, some of the pictures it looked good. I thought, but I didn't know that was the library. I was assuming you're hopping. I feel like your days in New York are full of like going to museums and like and whatever little things are happening because there's always something happening right in New York. So I
There
didn't
is
know that
always
was
something
part of the
happening.
library. I thought
There is
that
always something happening, but no.
I think it was one where you're sitting at a desk and I was like, oh, now he's in the prison library.
Jesus
He just
Christ.
figured that one out.
Oh
Oh,
no, no, it's really nice inside. It's so quiet, like oh my,
yeah.
it's so clean. It's absurd.
You
I
just
feel like
built it.
I want to donate to it now.
Yeah. Well, you want to be a patron?
Yeah, that's how much I love it. You know, I was literally considering getting like a WeWork space, like a little office. I mean, it's
Yeah.
expensive, but I was literally considering it.
What is a WeWork space? Is that
Like
like
WeWork is like the company that has like the co-working spaces.
oh yes. Like yes. I think we have a one here. It's called like novel co-working or something like that.
Yeah,
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 yes,
or
but I know what you're talking about. You kind of
Industrious. There's a
yes, you can kind of rent these little spots out, right? And then
exactly, yeah. You could rent
work.
a little office, or it's literally like a desk somewhere, right?
Yeah,
And just a nice area that's like has coffee and stuff.
yeah.
And I was looking into it, and it's like 120, 150 a month, something like that. And I was like, damn.
Dang, that sucks. What could you do at 120 by 150 a month? Where what could you use with that money?
I
Somewhere
know
else.
you started thinking about it, but then you start thinking, well, how much more productive? How much is that
Yeah.
extra
I guess
productivity
I guess
worth?
I guess that's what it comes down to, right? If you are
Yeah.
going to be productive, you're not going to be just on your phone all day or like, watching
No.
TV in there, then it probably is worth it if you're going to be able to do work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is it loud where
Yeah.
you're at
No.
right
So
now?
in my room?
Yeah.
No, no, not at all. But it's
You
just
get it
it's hard
outside.
for me to like my
Yeah, I know
bed
what you
is two
mean.
feet away from me, so it's hard for me to associate my desk now in my
Yeah.
room with work.
Makes sense. That
Um.
makes sense. I was always one to go do work in my bed because I was tired, so I would just like
Oh,
sit in my bed. And I know people say it's not good because now I'm mixing the two.
you're mixing the
Um,
two. Your brain is like, what do you mean? I thought this old mattress was where we knock out.
yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
No, they always forever knew as soon as I got in bed that we had to do something. Then I was anxious every time. Well, we're supposed to be doing something?
Am I
Yeah,
supposed to be doing something?
yeah, because I usually do work in there. That's funny.
No, I knock out in 20 seconds, so I can't do
Yes, I
that.
forgot about that. Yes. No, it takes me a while. I've actually been super busy this past week and I've been doing work at home and stuff.
Hmm.
And so I feel like that's why I'm a little tired this week. Just catching up on the basically I had to do this like I've mentioned before my job and I have to do a certain task, right? We have these things called user stories and in the story it's I have to accomplish whatever the goal is, right? And this one was lasting a little bit longer and it was frustrating me, and it wasn't, things weren't working. And then every morning, as I mentioned before in the podcast for new listeners, I have to go to I go to two morning meetings, and I basically have to tell them what I did yesterday, what I'm doing today.
Progress reports.
Yeah, it's like that. I mean, it's like I let everybody know this is what's going on. But the problem is that, I mean, obviously they keep track of it, right? So if I go tell them Monday this is what I did, and then Tuesday I gotta tell them something different. And so every morning every morning I'm trying to like figure something out. I'm trying to like make stuff up in my head to like make it sound better than what and especially this week because like I was not making progress on this thing. And I kept having to like change up the words to like let them know, like, yeah, I'm getting there. In reality, and then I think it was like on the maybe because I've been working. This has been the second week I've been working on this. Started on
Mm.
last week, and so I remember that I was like, I think it was like Thursday when I finally said, "All right, I'm gonna have to reach out to one of y'all guys because it's not working." And then my like the lead of the team was like, "Yeah, that makes sense because we haven't like pushed this part that you need." And I was like, "Wait a second, I've been literally staying up late because I feel like I was not figuring this out. I wanted to come back with the results, and you come back and tell me, like, you want to tell me in the morning meeting on Thursday.
It's
Yeah,
impossible for you to have figured it out.
yeah, I would have never figured it out. Yeah, because
Wait
I
a
was
minute. So
working.
so when you say stay up late, so you're over here like what, researching stuff like on your own time? Like what
Yeah,
do you?
basically because what I was supposed to be doing was something new that I hadn't done before.
Yeah.
And it was getting stuff from like whenever you go on a website, right? Let's say you're gonna shop on Amazon and you put something in your cart, right? It stores that information for you, right? You're a unique user, and it stores
Hmm.
all your cart information to you.
Sure.
So with this, I'm working for American Airlines. So I'm working on the checkout page, or the page where you basically, when you pick your flight and all that stuff.
Hmm.
That's the you have like a shopping cart, basically. That's what they call it. And
Hmm.
so every time you have your flight, if you want to add change your seat, to a higher seat, then that's like added to your shopping cart, right? That upsell.
Hmm.
If you
Right.
want to add like food if you're doing international flight, it adds to your shopping cart.
Mhm.
And so,
Yeah.
like I said, I needed that ID, that user, and they want to be, because right now what I'm working on is sort of modernizing the old code, the old system that American Airlines
Sure.
has right now for their checkout.
Yeah.
So, and what they wanted me to do was basically, if you go on that website, if let's say you're getting to the payment page, and you don't, and the since this is right now, what we're doing is basically a mix, because they haven't finished the cloud part yet, and so
Hmm.
we're mixing the cloud and the old stuff, which is
Mm.
hard, right? Because it's either you go new stuff or you go old stuff, and we're trying to do both at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so long story short, I need that ID in order to finish my task, and I was never going to
Right.
get that ID, because the shopping cart was never being created
Yeah.
on that side. So anyway,
Setting you up to fail.
that was the issue. Yeah, so they set me up, and then I think it was on Tuesday morning. I told them I was freaking out again. And you ever get like those Sunday nights? I felt like I was back in school. I was like stressing out on Sunday night because I was like, I gotta go back into tomorrow in this meeting and let everybody know I'm working on the same thing twice. And so for this week too, and so I started freaking out a little bit, because I was like, how am I gonna spin this, right? How am I gonna let them know that I'm not incompetent? It's just not working. But they told me
You
again
no, continue.
they told me again on Tuesday morning that I needed to wait on someone. They made some more changes that I needed to wait on. So
Mhm. You're just gonna work on something
I'm
else?
starting. Yeah. Well, I feel like I wish they would have told me that. Well, they told me that they had just did it like that morning or something, or
Mm.
like the night before. They had recently just submitted their these changes that I needed to pull into mine, and so I got it figured out. I got it figured out yesterday. And Tuesday and Thursdays they make us go into the office, and so it was a little stressful because I have to see those people in person now. So I mean, we still do the meeting sort of online, but I feel like it's when you're at home, it's a little bit easier, right? When you're talking to people, because when end push end on the meeting, like you're done, and you can close, you can just like
But then
walk
you
away
once you
because
put but in the person But when you're in
Yeah,
person, you tell everybody you're a failure. You end the meeting and then you get up to go to the bathroom and you see them.
exactly. Yeah, you tell, and this one it was like this is what's going on, and then as soon as the meeting over, they call you over to the desk, and so it's like now I got to talk to you, Whereas before they're like it's a video call, sometimes they don't want to get into it. They have
Yeah.
meetings, but on for some reason on when we go into office, like they have time. Like these people, they have all the time in the world when we go to office. They go in, they get in like 1 minute before our meeting's supposed to start. There is no like showing up, oh, I'm gonna show up at 8:30 or they show up when they want to show up 1 minute before the meeting starts. And then I swear some of them have been leaving like around 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, not telling nobody, they just leave. And so I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out what they're doing, what's going on. Um, but there's so much autonomy that
Yeah.
you never know. But regardless, yeah. So that's what it's been like for me this past week. But
Nice.
the weekend I did actually do something nice. I
Ooh,
went to a comedy show. I think I might have mentioned on one of the podcast episodes before. I went to go see a comedian by the name of Sebastian Maniscalco. And
sounds familiar.
yeah, he's this Italian comedian. He played a he's played a few small roles in movies. I think he was in that one with the Martin Scorsese film, the most recent one that he had with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. Can't think of the name right now. But anyways, he was in that. He was in Green Books. I think Green Book. I forgot. Anyways, he's like this comedian, small movie star. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so he came to Dallas, and so I I like listening to his podcast a lot. I liked him as a comedian, so I decided to go. But I will say that the experience was a little bit different than what I was expecting.
Uh-oh.
Um, and I guess we'll just get into it a little bit right now. Um, the comedy show we went to was at this place called the Toyota Music Factory. And I mean the area itself
So
is
many different moving parts there.
yeah.
No pun intended, guys.
Yeah.
But the Toyota, which is a car brand,
Yes.
music factory.
Yes. I assume it looks like it was an old factory, I guess,
Hmm.
that Toyota bought, and now they use it for their venues. So it's like when you would
Hmm.
have the American Airlines Center, right? Or the whatever I don't know any other really ones that are owned by companies like that. But
Toyota is big in Texas because I think the Houston Rockets is the Toyota Center.
yeah, and I think that Toyota like moved their headquarters somewhere
Oh, okay, that's
near
why.
us in Dallas, or not, or at least their United States headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so anyways, to me, Toyota Music Factory is my first time actually going to this place, um, because they have it set up different ways. I think there's like different venues there, and this one happens to be like an inside one. Anyways, the venue itself was kind of nice on the inside, but
Nice.
it was hot, right? So I thought, eventually they're gonna turn the air conditioner on. Maybe it's just that there's a lot of people and stuff. But I promise you, it was like I want to say it was like the devil's balls in there. It
Jeez.
was so hot, like sweat dripping, and all they had were these fans, these big fans swinging from the top. It's like, what are you gonna do with these fans?
What kind of
And
Texas venue
I
doesn't? That's like
know,
the
and
first thing you should be thinking of.
it made me upset a little bit. I was like, do they not know that we're in Texas in
Right.
July? What they expect was going to happen? Um, it was
Jeez.
fun. It was fun to be there. Um, I got us like seats closer to the edge, but I wasn't able to get seats right at the edge. And
Mm.
so that meant that I was gonna have to be around people. It was me and Lindsay and then my parents
Oh,
that went
nice.
to go see it. So it was a nice outing, but the show itself was a little bit challenging, like I said. Uh, for one, I think they should require people to sit down at a certain time. Uh, because people kept coming like getting up and getting up and leaving or coming to find their seats, and the show had already started, right? So
Yeah.
it's not like a concert. I get it when you're at a concert, right? And you miss it, people were kind of getting up a little bit because you're there for the music. And but this part, I mean, you're here to kind of see the mannerisms and stuff of the comedian.
Right. Right. I hate when people. This is what one of my biggest pet peeves when people don't pay attention to things. It's like you can't tell me then after that you experienced this 100% because you're missing all the good stuff.
Exactly, and that was the part that was kind of bothersome is that people were trying to find their seats, and he's like talking,
Yeah.
and then you hear like the whoever's like they're in charge of finding seats, and they're like
Mhm.
talking to the person, they're talking back, and you're kind of like you're trying to pay attention to him, but also you're like, what's going on over here? And they have this like flashlight, and they keep shining it on your face, and you're just like,
Jeez.
what's going on? Sit down, please. And then they would like I saw the lady would come and was like checking people's tickets to make sure you're in the right spot,
Mhm.
which well, I will say that the seats were a little bit bootleg, because the seats themselves were like when you pull out like fold out chairs you would bring to a like a picnic with a fold out table or something. These were like fold out chairs that they somehow welded together, and
Jeez.
I don't know how they kept them to the stuck on the floor, but these weren't like seats, that were already.
It's like when you do an outdoor graduation, like that sort of thing, they tie them together.
Yes, but they weren't tied. I don't know what they did. They to keep them stuck together. I tried pushing them because as soon as I got there, that was my first instinct. I said, "No, this is not gonna work." We were like, it's like right next to each other. So I tried like kicking
Yeah.
it a little bit, pushing it with my foot to see if I could like move these chairs to space them out. Nope. I don't know what they did, if they super glued them or they, like I said, maybe they welded them together and welded them to the floor. I'm not entirely sure, but these are bootleg fold out tables,
Mm.
fold out chairs. And there was no seat numbers on them. They were like every 5, 6 chairs, there was like a chalk written in chalk like a 20 or something. And
Well,
then
geez,
and
I'm over here
then
thinking this is like the a nice like Broadway venue sort of thing, but
well, it
what
it
what
wasn't
is
like a
this?
theater, but when you go in there, I mean they had the bars and stuff were nice, right? Obviously the bars and then and it was I and listen, the seats that I got us like floor seats, right?
Mm.
Um as opposed to
Floor
the
seats because you were basically on the floor with those
yeah, like we're like well, because so I'm like I said, I had never been to this venue before. So when I was picking the seats,
Mhm.
I thought, oh, the higher seats are gonna be like the way it is at a regular, like we're going to a concert venue, right? And they're gonna be sort
Right.
of high up. And I was like, I don't want to, I want to be able to see him. I don't want to be way up there, and I'm basically watching the TV, right? Then it's like, well, then
Yeah.
I might as well just uh wait for the special to come out on Netflix or something. But when we got there, these were not like that. The seats were higher up or way nicer than the ones that are on the floor. The ones that are on the floor, I don't know. I guess that's why they put out these fold-out chairs because I guess the venue itself is probably like a mosh pit.
Yeah, yeah.
So they
Okay, so
probably
yeah,
don't.
they had to create this seating area.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
that
had
makes
a
sense.
creative seating area. Yes. So super bootleg. Like I said,
Hmm.
you count. I mean, you see like a random 20, so then you had to figure out if you were 17. Like, okay, let me count 19, 18, 17. Okay, I'm right here. And I ended up doing like I did that like multiple times because I knew that was gonna happen,
Yeah.
and it was just I don't know. It was kind of annoying that people were getting up. Then this big guy gets in front of me. I was so upset because he had this big fat neck and it would look like a tree trunk, and it's just like now he's blocking directly the view to the comedian. So I'm like this having to go right and left because this guy just having the time of his life, just like leaning back, and then he would like move his head over here, move his head. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, like what do you? I think that's like another requirement they should do. They should. I honestly believe. I feel like that's something I would do. I would create a venue and sort of implement these rules, and I feel like that's like an idea that no one's thought of yet. Uh,
I'm sure people have thought about it, but then they realize that
but
that's
they're not
one
gonna
way to
make.
get the worst reviews in the history of the world.
Well, I don't know. I feel like have you ever been to? I don't know. Do you guys have Alamo Draft House in New York City
Can't say
or
we have no such thing.
like those? Like, probably not
Is
those.
that like where the monster trucks are at?
No, 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 no. Like the theaters. Where'd you get monster trucks? The theaters where like they serve you. You can order food and they come bringing the food to you.
Oh,
Or and
we have a few of those where like recliner chairs and stuff. Yeah.
yes, yeah. So here,
Alamo Roadhouse is what that's called over
Alamo.
there.
No, you I don't know where you got Roadhouse from. Draft House. Here automatically associating Texas with a Roadhouse. Um, no, Alamo Draft House,
Mhm.
and we have, like I said, we have a few of those theaters where they bring food and stuff. But this company, what they did was it's very Like their rules are if you're gonna go sit down and you're watching a movie, like you're not gonna be on your phone. There's no talking, no, because you will be asked. Like, you get a warning, and then you'll be asked to leave the theater, and like that's a thing. And like everybody likes it
Wow.
because of how the rules are. It's like for people who really want to come watch the movie and stuff. And there's no
Yeah.
like you bring your little kids. You don't like there's none of that. So I feel like they should implement that type of thing for like concert venues or something and say, hey, this is just for like elite people. If you can't be above 6 feet if you want to be on the floor seats.
Oh yeah, real
Or if you do,
elitist.
or if you do, you have to be in the back, or maybe like they just very organized, right? Like you can't be this tall. If you are gonna be this tall, you have to be put in the edge. Um, because and because
What a list of ideas you got over there, Ethan.
well, I feel like listen, no, we're just talking, but also don't steal my idea. Because
No.
I know it's good. I know it's a good idea.
Speaking
Because
of speaking of stereo idea, you saying that, and then you saying earlier about you needing to come up with new words on your Tuesday meeting because of your Monday meeting,
yes.
reminded me of one of our fraternity brothers, Tyree.
Okay. Oh yes, yes.
You don't know, we were in a fraternity together, and one of the great fraternal duties was event planning.
Yes.
And we had chapter meetings every week, and part of our duties on a weekly basis were coming up with event ideas.
Mm.
And we never really confirmed it, but we always had this suspicion that Tyree was never really
Yeah.
all that prepared for these meetings because he would, first of all, he would volunteer to go last, and then and then it just felt like he just took a little bits and pieces of everything that all the other bros had shared,
Yeah.
and then tried to spin it as this new product.
Yeah.
And as soon as he would stop sharing, we would all look around at each other and say, "Well, wait a second,
Yeah.
wasn't that what you said?" He said,
Yeah. Well, yes, I do. I think that's uh you would say like you could say you're gonna throw an event.
shout out Tyree, by the way.
Yeah, shout out Tyree. But yes, yes, you would say you're gonna throw an event, and you're gonna be picking flowers or something, and then this other guy would say, "Oh, we're gonna do an event where we're gonna sell shoes," and then it's Tyree's turn, and he'll say, I had a nice idea where you're picking shoes and selling flowers." And it's like, wait a second, it's
Wait a
awfully similar
second.
to what we're talking about over here. He's like,
Yep.
"No, I came up with this myself." And it's like, "No, you didn't." They show me the notes, and it's like the piece of paper that he had just opened that day. He has him writing down so he could remember how he was going to spin it. And
Exactly.
he's
No,
one he was, huh? Well, I remember
he
him
was a
denying it. I remember him denying it. Like, uh,
well, I mean, he always denied it, but it was just funny because
you know,
it was a pattern. We
yeah,
always knew like, oh, here we go,
yeah.
Tyree's turn.
I think one meeting we said, Tyree, you go first. I think that was funny. I think we made him
But
go talk first because we didn't want him to take anybody's ideas.
well, we were tired of his plagiarism. We were like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what?
For someone in college, he got away with a lot of plagiarism.
Yeah.
At least in those meetings. Yes. Yeah,
Mm.
well, that's exactly what happens during
So
my
you're
meeting.
telling me that there are no kids in Alamo Roadhouse Draft House?
Draft house, yes. No, in the draft house, it's very classy, or I wouldn't say classy, but I should say classy, but
Mm,
it was yeah, it was just more adult. It was
mm. I
you
like
would
that.
you would go there, and I mean it was called the draft house, right? So I mean they had like a full bar, and but it wasn't really a place for kids.
Right. I mean, I think there's a time and a place for everything, and
You
kids
know,
is one of those things where it's
and they
either a
weren't
time
really,
and a place for it
yeah.
or it's not.
And the theater wasn't really. I don't even think they would show like animated films or anything like that, just to even
Nice.
to encourage that. Not that adults can't watch them, but I think once they see an animated film, they're like, "Well, we gotta take the kids to that."
Yeah, yeah. I
And
see that.
so, yeah, I think they went because of COVID. I think there's only one left now. And I think maybe they're gonna try to bring him back. I don't know how that whole thing's working.
Mhm.
But and maybe that's why they didn't make it, because they were so uh anti everybody. I don't know, little kids and people talking and stuff like that. Regardless,
Exactly.
this so like I said, this concert was, or this comedian show, it was sort of, it was, I mean, he was good as a comedian, but the
Nice.
experience itself was a little bit like, I don't know if I do this again. And there's some, like, there was these girls that were back there like repeating everything he would say, and it's like they were like an echo for him. He would say something and they'd be like, they would they would do this thing. They'd be like, "That's so funny," or they'd be like, and then they would like repeat exactly the same thing he said.
Well, what's happening in that situation is someone's not listening, so she
Yeah,
would say, "That's so funny," and then the
yeah,
girl, whoever they're with would be like, "Well, which part was so funny?" And then they'd have
yeah,
to go on this whole tangent, and you're over here like, "We're literally 7 sentences
yeah.
far from that, like, just pay
Yeah,
attention."
and then exactly, and it's like, what my thing is that though, if you're paying to be there, right? You're
Mhm.
paying this why what are you doing getting drunk at the bar and then like coming last second, Or what are you doing this? Like what was the point?
Yeah, that's so interesting. I don't
Um,
know why people do that.
doesn't make any
I'm thinking about
sense.
going to a comedy show soon. There's a good special here. It's like $19 for 2
Yeah.
people and 2 drinks
Well,
included.
I feel like New York would be a cool place to go because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really where you're gonna find. I mean, a lot of like comedians are going to be in New York, like starting out in those little clubs. Like
Dude,
I think
the up and comers in New York are like the Eddie Murphys of Dallas,
that's
like, please.
well, well, no, I mean it, but in the way it's true. Like I think, I mean, it's not like we don't have any real like comedy clubs like that here.
Mhm.
The ones that we do have, I mean, you're not gonna find. I mean, potentially you could find someone, right, when they're doing their tours, but they're not gonna be that big yet.
Right, right.
Like, I feel like in New York, you're gonna find, like, a lot of people, you know, and
Yeah, I've only been to one, but it was, you got the sense that I was like, "Wait a minute," like, it was a comedy show, and it was pretty, like it was supposed to be, like, amateurish, but
yeah,
you got the sense, like, "Nah, wait a second, these people have been doing this for years," so it
yeah,
was good.
yeah, so, yeah, that was my experience with the comedy show.
Nice.
Um, Overall, like I said, good comedian, wouldn't recommend going to go watch a comedy show in a big venue like that,
No.
because you will have people talking, and you will have tree trunk necks in front of you. And you will have 102-degree temperatures. I should have known though I was going to be in a factory, right? So
No, that's unfortunate. That's the worst part of your story is that they didn't have AC.
yeah, there might have been AC, but it was not enough for everybody that was there.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that was my experience with the comedy show. Um, I,
Not bad.
I don't think anything. I don't think I did really anything else.
You did what were you doing yesterday?
Yeah, so yesterday, for everybody who's listening now, we usually record, or who have listened to podcast episodes, we usually record on Mondays. And I had to postpone Monday and push it Tuesday, but I totally forgot that I had an engagement yesterday. And so Mario was ready to record, and sent him a picture of what I'm doing. And I was in a calligraphy class,
Mm.
um, learning calligraphy.
So
And
here we are, a recent software developer, recent coder, and he's
yes,
like, you know what I'm gonna do on a random Tuesday? I'm gonna buy a Groupon deal
yeah.
and and learn how to
Well,
write."
yeah. Well, that's not how it actually went down. When I forgot, I think it was my mom and Lindsay that were going together.
Mm,
They were gonna go to this they've sort of gotten closer and become friends and stuff. And
mm,
because my mom doesn't really have that many friends, because Psycho John is Psycho John. He's been like that for the longest time, and he's what we would consider nowadays psycho. Back in the days, no one really paid attention to that stuff.
mhm,
But he was very, I don't know. My dad's a character. And
mhm.
so anyway, so she's always been sort of my dad. So she and her friends that she does have a little bit. I'm not just in case you're listening, but she has friends that my dad is. And so anyways, they decided they were gonna go to this calligraphy class.
Mm.
I think they bought this Groupon deal. And they're gonna go exactly you said, they bought this Groupon deal.
Wow, that was just a guess on my part, but I guess
No,
that Groupon is everything, I
I think
guess.
they bought this Groupon deal for a calligraphy class, and I didn't know what it was, right? I just heard Lindsay told me that they were gonna go do calligraphy. I said, "Wait a second, what? No one told me anything." I said, "I wanna go do calligraphy." And so
Wait, and you didn't this is you not knowing what it was?
I know what calligraphy is. I didn't know what the what the calligraphy class entailed,
Ah, oh.
what everything was going on. I just heard that they're gonna do calligraphy,
Yeah.
and they were gonna get a free stuff with it. And I said,
Mm.
"Okay, well, get me a ticket for calligraphy. I wanna go too." So I wasn't invited. I just crashed. I tagged along for this calligraphy thing that they were doing. When I was younger, and I've been to New Orleans is not that far from Dallas, so tickets to New Orleans are cheap because we're here in Texas and Louisiana is right next to us, right?
Mm.
So Dallas,
Well,
New
right next to is a generous term when you're talking about when you're
well,
talking about
yeah,
Texas, but
but
sure.
tickets are not that. Or typically, that you can find some cheaper tickets from Dallas to New Orleans, depending on certain weekends. So my parents used to go. They go a lot. They go almost every year, pretty much. It seems like now
Wow.
to New Orleans, and you think they get tired. I think my mom's getting more tired of it. My dad just likes going a lot, and
What's
they
the
usually
drive?
go. The drive, mm, maybe about 5 hours,
Oh,
so it's
I
not
was
too
gonna say
bad.
8.
No, Dallas is not that far. It's 5, 6 hours maybe. But the
Hmm.
problem though with driving to New Orleans is for people who have never been to New Orleans. I think one of my favorite cities. I do love going. I love the culture and I love the way it looks. But um, as soon as you get closer to the New Orleans, right,
Mhm.
where everything is happening, the streets are not the best. Streets
No.
are very tore up, and it's almost like you're in New York City. Like finding parking is not going to be as easy, but that's because a lot of people are walking around.
Yeah, and
Peop
they have a lot of cobblestone. It's pretty
Yes,
bad.
exactly, and they have like carriages, like people in care. They have like uh when I would go, they would have a lot of like parades happening. I don't think when we had Mario and I and our a few friends, we went to New Orleans for spring break.
Yeah,
So
that's
they
a fun
know what
time.
it's like, and so, but I don't think we experienced the parades like the way like I've seen before. So
Nah.
that's so anyway, it's a little bit of a hard drive. But when I would go to New Orleans when I was younger, I would go to this. They had this shop, and they had these like basically like calligraphy pens, right? The ones with the feather and the quills because
Ooh,
I liked Harry Potter and I remember like when they would write and stuff, I wanted to do stuff like that.
yeah, that's
So
cool.
I'd buy like these like feather quills, right? And the ink and stuff and write.
Right.
So when I hear about them doing this calligraphy class and they're gonna be doing stuff, I was like, oh, yeah, I want to go to that. So yesterday was the day of the calligraphy class. And I don't know what I was thinking. I wanted to skip on it because I mean I had to go into the office yesterday. So and I went in there early because I was trying to figure out this thing that I've been working on. So I went into work really early to try to work on it and probably find a solution before my meeting so I wouldn't have to spin something. And so I was tired. And then this place is in downtown Dallas, which should have already
Yeah.
been like a red flag for me that this wasn't going to be just a regular
Mhm.
classroom,
Yeah.
where you learn calligraphy. If you're having me go up to, Lower Greenville, uptown Dallas. And so I had to drive from where I'm at, which is the building where I'm working at in American Airlines is like 5 minutes away from the airport. So I have to go from over there, which is DFW, right? So it's like in the middle between Fort Worth and Dallas. So
Mm.
I'm like in this area called like Grapevine. Anyways, I have to go from there to Dallas, which means I'm gonna have to go with the traffic, which is obviously I never want to be in Dallas traffic. I hate it so much because people drive crazy.
Mm.
And anyways, it's just I mean, I'm pretty sure it's every city, right? People drive crazy in traffic and stuff like that.
Well,
It's not like LA
yeah,
traffic, but it's bad because you feel like at least LA traffic, you're gonna be stuck. And Dallas traffic, it's always like you feel like you're about to get going, and then it's and then they take it away from you, and then you're like,
that's
oh, right
annoying.
now it's about to clear up, and then you always find out it's because there were some slow cars. So anyway,
Right.
so I had to go all the way to this place and then I find out that what I'm going to is a coffee bar, right? And this
Mm.
calligraphy, I walk in and I'm meeting, Lindsay and my mom there. And it's a coffee bar and there's people ordering coffee. And at a table to the left is some lady with a uh, notepad with I guess our names on it, checking to see if you come in. And it's all female. So
Oh,
there's all
wow.
these girls sitting there. And so yeah, so I
I
would go
loved
up
I
to
love this lady's entrepreneurial spirit. She said, "You know what? I'm not gonna get a venue. I'm not gonna pay no
mhm.
deposits. We're gonna put 3 tables together in the coffee shop, and we're gonna do
Basically,
this."
well, I assume she must have been paying. I don't know. She has some type of deal going on with the coffee shop because this coffee shop was a coffee shop, but they also sold like alcohol.
Mm,
So I found out this is not like this was like one of those sip and paint ones. But instead of being a room with full of
mm,
paints, we're at a coffee bar, and she has all the stuff
mhm.
laid out right there for you at
Interesting.
these long table that she set up. And so there's nothing but females there, all these girls and stuff, and then she gives me a name tag. I'm the only guy, um, and she's like, basically, we had to practice the calligraphy, and that's what I was doing. I got a little calligraphy pen with these things she called them nibs that you stick in, I guess, the metal pieces, and I was
Mhm.
practicing my lettering. So if anybody's interested, I do wedding cards and birthdays and was it, I want to say bar mitzvahs, but
Wait a minute. You wait a
and
minute. You spent an hour yesterday in a coffee shop from a
hour
Groupon
and a
deal,
half.
and you're gonna come on the podcast and start pitching your services to people.
If you
You
guys
think
want
we
to,
trust you?
if you guys want, if hey, if you want, I do it cheap. I do
You
cheap.
you better do it cheap. You don't do
I
it
do
well.
it cheap. I only do it in black ink because that's all she gave me.
Jesus
Uh,
Christ.
but yeah, so it was an experience. It was fun. Uh,
You that confidence that you have, sir, is through the roof.
honestly, I'm not gonna lie. When I was there, like I knew I was doing pretty good compared to everybody else. Like
Is that right?
everybody would always make a comment about like oh they messed up there. Like you never heard that from me the whole night. I never once said like I messed up or I didn't know what I was doing. Like oh I should do this. Like when the lady would come because she would constantly come to check on like how we're doing,
Yeah.
and her critique for me or her comments were always for me to slow it down a little bit, be a little bit more patient. But that's because I was just
Mm.
doing so good. I was just zooming through.
Oh, is that right?
I think secretly because the whole time she was speaking about how many years she's been. Well, first of all, she said that she's been doing calligraphy for 6 years. So that made me think, pause. Is 6 years long enough to be doing calligraphy to teach a
Well,
class?
you just pitched your services to our
Okay,
audience
okay, yeah.
after
Well,
an hour in the shop, so
I'm talking about teaching though, right? Like she's I get it. Like me, yes, I can do right now some birthday notes, some graduation cards for you if you need them, some bachelorette parties. But uh she's over here
Mm,
teaching a class at the coffee bar, and my thing is, she said
that's
six
true.
years. I said, pause, is 6 years long enough to be
6 years.
to be teaching us? And
Do
I'm pretty sure I
you have
saw,
the requisite calligraphy hours to
yeah,
teach
I was like, wait a second, is that the right experience? What does that mean? 6 years experience? Like if you, because I'm like, is this your full-time job? Then she starts talking about how she like attended school for calligraphy. And I was like, there's a calligraphy school, and who told you you definitely should do that?
That's a lot.
All right. Yeah. And she was talking about how she did her first class at calligraphy 101, I assume, and then the next semester, when it was like her first class had like 200 people, and by the time it was like calligraphy 102 or 201, whatever it is, she said there was like 20 people, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's because a lot of parents said you're not going to make any money doing calligraphy, get out of there.
Yeah.
No, well, so obviously she's
Hey,
making money
who
because,
knows? Her Groupon checks are
yeah,
probably great. Hey, if she has people like you driving, with
exactly.
traffic from DFW to a
Exactly.
local coffee shop, who knows what she's pulling?
Exactly. She probably is making good money, right?
Yeah.
Doing this, especially she's doing the side, and all she has to do is like write notes, and people pay money for those things, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to expand my skills right now. I'm letting people know that my services are offered for this. But yeah, I didn't know if 6 years was long enough for me. And then she tries telling me that she spent like the first like month of class, and they were just working on their letter O. And I said, wait a second, um, I will give her props. She was very organized. She had like all the sheets and stuff for us to work on. She had like a little bag for us to store. So she was like, she had it very organized in terms of her saying like, all right, this is the next step. This is the next step. Like do this, do that.
Mhm.
and she was constantly walking around, and you never, I don't think I ever saw her sat down once. So she did pretty good in that, and she was uh, advocating for herself.
He's like, I don't, come to think of it, I don't think she did any calligraphy during that whole
I
time.
was like, but that was the thing, right? I took a calligraphy class, and I was never taught how to do calligraphy. I was provided the tools, and she gave me, like, when you were a kid and you had to learn letters, and then
Mhm.
you wrote the letters over, like a stencil almost, or
Yeah.
yeah, it was like that. It was like I had this little paper and I was just tracing. I was
Mhm.
tracing letters, but I was never told, like, hey, this is how you're gonna do this part of this part. This is how, a lot of times people were having trouble trying to hold it. And though I did have some experience from my younger years of using these pens,
Mm.
uh, I wasn't afraid to push down a little bit, but there was no, real, this is the
Instruction.
strokes. Yeah, so
Well,
I was,
it sounds like this lady literally made up an itinerary, took some materials over to a coffee shop, put it on
yeah,
Groupon, and
yeah,
people like Isai were convinced
yeah.
that she was a calligraphy instructor.
Yeah, she got everybody there, and she had everybody tag her social media and put everything on social media to be entered for a raffle. So she was smart. She had my
Wow.
mom putting stuff on social media.
Ooh.
I typically don't post on social media, so I was like, yeah, I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this lady was, you know, in a sense, legit, but
In a sense.
But then I don't really know. I've never taken any other calligraphy class to compare it to.
That's
Now, the other females there at the table
mhm.
had kept saying about how better this class was compared to the other ones. So I thought to
Mm.
myself, well, how many other classes have you taken?
Yeah, so they're calligraphy vets.
Well, they they weren't acting like their letters didn't look like they were calligraphy vets. Uh, they looked like they had
Well, that's
Parkinson's.
probably why the other classes weren't that good because here they are
Yeah,
in their seventh class and they can't do an O.
yeah, they looked like they had Parkinson's and their hands shaking everywhere. But
Oh, damn. I have shaky
uh,
hands.
well, he's not, because he's not being a surgeon.
Nah, you
Um,
can't be a surgeon.
well, anyways, yeah, that was the experience. Um,
Well,
I got in trouble for calling her ma'am. She told me that she wasn't a ma'am.
oh,
I was like, lady, this is how I talk.
it's very
I
southern of
call
you.
what?
Do you say ma'am to people? Like
Hmm.
everybody?
Yeah,
Wow.
I usually say yes sir, yes ma'am, depending if it's someone I don't know.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, damn.
whenever I would, like, even when I talk to professors, I would say yes, sir. Or if I was talking to a lady on the phone or whatever, I would always say yes, ma'am. I don't think people pay attention to it much.
Oh,
But
I would pay attention.
oh,
That is some Friday Night Lights type of shit right there.
really?
That's interesting.
Well,
In New York, you'll stand out like the thumb if you start doing that.
really? I think that it's funny because, like, Lindsay, she comes from North Carolina, and and
The great state, I hear.
yeah, they have a lot of good business area,
Yeah.
and she's from Charlotte, and so like, obviously they're the South, right?
Yeah.
They're the South right there, so she's used to very, like, Southern things. And I think she here in Dallas, it's a little bit different for her because she feels like people are not as nice or not as you know as Southern, I guess, or show those Southern manners. I
Or hospitable is the word you're looking
Hospitable.
for. Is
Yeah.
that's the word you're looking for?
Yes, hospitable. I couldn't think of it right now. Just kept throwing out synonyms for the
Mhm.
hospitable. Yeah, hospitable here. And I think that I keep trying to explain to her, like, obviously we're in Texas, and I don't know if we can really consider ourselves like the South in that sense, right? Some people are like over the South, other people are like over Southwest, for like we're our own thing. Um,
Yeah, I don't really think of Texas when I think of the South. I think of Louisiana and East. I think of
yeah,
everything from there, like New
yeah,
Orleans, and then I think of Nashville, and I think of all those like
yeah.
the Carolinas.
I think
But
Texas has this really. I mean, at the end of the day, it has like its own history, its own deal going on, especially with, like,
yeah, exactly.
with Mexico. And so it's very much, I don't know, but there are people, like, I grew up. I grew up, like, being taught those things. Like, when I was in school, um, I went to school like at a younger age. I was like 3 when I went to school,
Mm,
and my parents they're already put me in school. But when I was three and like 3 and 4, and maybe even five, like I remember like having classes on manners and like where my forks were, like the placement of your forks and your spoons and the knives.
Yeah,
And
etiquette.
like, and yeah, basically it's etiquette. Mario's got the word today, even though he said library for half the podcast. Yes, etiquette. We were taught etiquette and things like that. And my mom, um, I mean, my mom's family's been in the United States for the longest time, right? Like my grandparents, their parents have always been in Texas, where
Yeah.
my dad's parents are from Mexico, and
Mm,
so it's two different types of we're Mexican culture, but it's different types of culture. My mom's very Americanized, right? Like they went through her
correct.
grandparents. Her grandparents served like in World War II, and that great grandparent was like in World War One, and like these people have
Yeah.
done stuff in America for the longest time, and so but
Right.
she grew up with like the yes ma'am, yes sir, doing stuff like that. Whereas my
Hmm.
dad didn't really grow up with that, and so I try to explain to her, I'm like, listen, there's a lot of Mexicans in Dallas, right? And there's a lot of people who are moving to Dallas, moving to Texas from like California and stuff, and they're definitely not
Yeah.
doing none of that stuff out there. So I'm like, so that's why some people are not opening the doors for you, and they're not, kissing the feet you're walking on and stuff like that. Because a lot of the older folk that do say yes, ma'am, yes, sir, have already like passed or they got out,
Jesus.
And I mean, it's true though. But yeah, I sometimes I don't know. I feel like I did say it when I was back in school. I don't think you probably just didn't pay attention. Uh,
I feel like I
yeah.
heard you say that to the school security officers or something, or
Oh,
people of
yeah.
authority. I feel like I've heard that before,
Yeah,
but
usually it is, but sometimes if it's someone I don't know, I'll say yes, ma'am. Now, I mean, even if it's like a girl my age, I'll probably say yes, ma'am if I don't know her.
hmm,
Um, and I don't know why. That's just a thing.
yeah,
But yeah, well, that was my experience for the week
nice.
with the calligraphy class and the comedy show. I don't know what I don't. I think I have something in store soon, but I don't probably don't. I don't know. I don't know if you're expecting anything coming up soon. If you have any big plans.
I have a wedding this Saturday for my godmother. It's my first
Mhm.
wedding ever.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I haven't really been to any real weddings before.
yeah. Sorry, my twin sister got married recently, but it wasn't like a ceremony. It wasn't like a big thing. So this is like
Yeah.
my first formal ceremony and reception,
Yeah.
and trying to learn the etiquette of that.
Yeah.
Um, and then the next week I have all of next week I have 3 Mets games to go to. So
Whoa, three Mets games like in a row, or just like week after week
sort
after
of in a
week?
row. It was a long story. I initially bought next Sunday's games, um, because they're giving out a free they're giving out challenge coins. You're from Texas. You know what challenge coins are?
No, I've heard about it.
Challenge coins.
Remind me
It's
though.
like I think it's a military thing, but challenge coins are basically what they used to give military officers when they got like medals and new ranks, I think. And basically, if you would, and then the way it's used in nomenclature is you
You
would pull it
nomenclature.
out like at a yeah, I don't even know if I used
Mm,
that correctly, but you would pull
no.
it out at a bar, I think, and you pull it out at a bar or like at a social gathering and slam on the
Yeah.
table, and it's supposed to be kind of like a challenge to the person across from you or to the person
Oh, okay.
you're speaking with, and finish your drink and stuff like that. So basically, it's just
Yeah.
a challenge coin. So it's a Mets themed challenge coin, which I really want. So that'll be Sunday, and then or that'll be Saturday, and then Friday of next week, uh, the Mets are bringing out a new color jersey,
Oh,
black jerseys, and so I have to go to that because it's Friday night blackout. So obviously,
yeah.
I had to buy those tickets. And then on
Yeah.
Tuesday, who's Tuesday of that week, I there was a sale on tickets, and these tickets were like $8 a pop, so I had to get those too.
Oh,
Um,
so I happen you
so
had to
then
do
there's
it.
so that's it's so I didn't even
Yeah.
want to, but I had to, you know.
Yeah. I
I
think
didn't think
that I made a sort of a big purchase. I bought tickets. So I don't know why I've been buying like tickets to, like different games and concerts now. I bought tickets to
Ooh,
go see Elton John. I might have
ooh,
mentioned this before, but this is like next year stuff. So hopefully he's still alive by next year.
Jesus Christ.
But I bought tickets to go see Elton John for his last tour ever,
That's
before he's
exciting.
officially done. I also bought tickets recently. I mean, this is my now these new tickets I bought. I bought tickets to go see Frankie Valley in December. So Frankie Valley in the Four Seasons. are the ones who, I don't know if you've seen the Broadway show Jersey Boys.
Oh,
That's them basically.
nice.
And so he's a little bit older, so well, he's this is probably gonna be the last one for him too. But I bought tickets for my favorite band ever, the Eagles. Eagles. I don't know. You know the song "Hotel California" is their most
Right, right.
known song, by normal people.
Such, such a vibe. That song is such a vibe.
Yes, and I mentioned this before on the podcast with Psycho John about how he went to go see a Eagles cover band in the House of Blues when I was like younger,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to go, and it was just supposed to be him and my uncle, and it was like late night. I really shouldn't have been there, and he took me with him, and I was already ready to knock out, right? Because I was a little kid, so I was already ready to knock out by like the first song,
Right.
and I think I was like one of those things where I was like already falling asleep, like standing up. And so
Jeez.
obviously, like he was a bad parent if he would have kept me there, so he had to leave. And I don't think that cover band ever came back. So anyway, so I coincidentally I was looking at the tickets from this past weekend for the Sebastian show, and I see these Eagles tickets that I wanted to go to. The Eagles tickets went on sale like 2 years ago. I think back when we had got out of school, but I was broke, and so obviously I wasn't buying any Eagles tickets, and
Right.
my my dad wanted to go, but he wasn't down. Anyways, so tickets are like $500 now, right? If you want to buy on the nosebleed section.
Yeah.
But I looked, and all of a sudden I saw these tickets that were on sale and all these seats, and I didn't understand what was going on. I
Yeah.
looked it up, and I guess they had an extra show that no one else knew about, and tickets had just like went on sale that day. So, anyways, I got tickets to go see the Eagles, and I'll be seeing them in about uh, 2 months, I guess, now on September 20th. Uh, so exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Wait, so it's for you and your dad?
No, I tried telling my parents. I said, "Hey,
Jesus
I
Christ.
know,
You said that whole story,
I
and you
know."
said the whole story about you
Well,
forcing
yeah.
your dad to leave the
Well,
bar.
that's
So
why
I
I thought.
thought,
Well, I thought this was
oh my God,
funny.
he made it up to him.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was funny. I thought it probably was where I'm gonna lead to it. Uh, I tried telling them. I said, "Hey, these Eagles tickets are again on sale, and there's no resale. Like these are the tickets you can buy, and we
Yeah.
can get some to go watch." And I think he was down, but come to find out that they are going to be in New Orleans that weekend, and they're coming back late at
Wow.
night, so they're going to miss the show. So I said, "Dang, that
Mm.
sucks for you." And I still bought the tickets, so me and Lindsay are going to be going. I think I don't know if she's gonna appreciate it as much as I have, or as much as I do. And I don't think she's
Yeah.
gonna realize the concert that she is at, and like the status of the Eagles.
Mhm.
But I definitely am. I'm gonna enjoy it. So I'm not listening to any of their music till I go see the concert. Um,
Wow, that is interesting.
yeah.
Interesting approach.
Well, anyways, well, thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. Thank you, Mariel, for sharing his three Mets games in a row.
Yeah.
And yeah, and let us know what you'd like to hear us talk about next. Words of wisdom, I guess, or wisdom you can take from this episode is don't go to comedy shows that are going to be in very large venues. Um,
Or calligraphy classes in coffee shops.
or calligraphy classes off of Groupon. Obviously, I would probably say stay off of Groupon entirely, because somehow you're getting played by getting the
Well,
Groupon.
you're gonna get played somehow. This only happens for non New Yorkers, because New Yorkers we're too aware to notice these
New
type of things.
Yorkers cannot get hustled because they're constantly
Exactly.
hustling other people.
Exactly.
So they spot the hustle. They spot the con from the get go.
Exactly.
Whereas here in Texas, we're nice. And so, anyways, thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next week.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, good night.